Have you ever sat down to study for 3 hours, and when you finally look up from your phone, you realize only 10 minutes have passed? It's a frustrating feeling, right? You have the best intentions. You have your books, your notes, your laptop open, but then a notification pops up. You decide to just quickly check one thing. And suddenly, you're tumbling down a rabbit hole of videos, messages, and social media feeds, and your textbook sits there forgotten and lonely. What if I told you the problem isn't your willpower? It's not that you're lazy or undisciplined. The real problem is that you're trying to fight a dragon with a butter knife. You're using outdated methods to fight against a world of hyper-engineered distractions. Our brains weren't built for this. But the good news is, we can build a fortress for our focus. We can learn to study effectively, and no, it doesn't have to be a painful, boring grind. Let's start with a simple but powerful truth from neuroscience. Your brain's prefrontal cortex is like the CEO of your attention. It's responsible for focus and making deliberate decisions. But it's also easily tired and has limited resources. Every time you resist a distraction, every ping you ignore, every itch to scroll you suppress, you're using up a little bit of your CEO's energy. This is called ego depletion. So, by the end of a long day, or even after just a few decisions, your CEO is exhausted and it becomes almost impossible to focus. So, the number one rule of effective studying is this: don't rely on willpower. Eliminate the need for it. Think of it like this. If you were trying to diet, would you keep a plate of freshly baked cookies right next to you all day, relying solely on your willpower to not eat them? Of course not. You'd keep them out of sight, or better yet, not buy them at all. Studying is the same. We need to make distractions invisible, unattractive, and difficult to access. Let's break this down into a practical three-layer defense system for your focus. Layer 1, engineer your environment. This is your first and most important line of defense. Your goal is to make your study space a distraction-free zone before you even begin. First, the phone. I know, it's a tough one, but the research is clear. Even having your phone face down on the desk reduces your cognitive capacity. It's like having a person in the room who might tap you on the shoulder at any moment. Your brain is constantly using a little bit of energy to monitor it. The most effective solution? Put it in another room. If that feels too extreme, turn on Do Not Disturb mode, the one that blocks all notifications, and put it in a drawer, out of sight and out of reach. Next, your computer. This is your tool, but also your biggest trap. So, we need to make it just a tool. Use website blockers. There are fantastic free and paid apps that can block social media sites, news sites, and YouTube for a set period of time. It takes 2 minutes to set up, and it's like putting a lock on the cookie jar. You physically can't access the distraction, so you don't have to waste willpower fighting it. Finally, your physical space. Tidy your desk. Have only what you need for that specific study session. A cluttered space leads to a cluttered mind. It creates little visual to-dos that can pull your attention away. Get a glass of water. Have good lighting. This isn't just about comfort. It's about signaling to your brain that it's time for deep work. Layer 2, prepare your mind. Okay, your environment is clean. Now, let's get your mind ready. Your brain loves clarity. Vague goals like study chemistry are overwhelming. It doesn't know where to start, so it often looks for an escape. This is where a technique called implementation intentions comes in, and it's backed by a ton of science. Don't let the fancy name scare you. It simply means creating an if-then plan. Instead of saying, I'll study chapter 4, say this: for the next 25 minutes, I will read pages 112 to 115 of chapter 4 and write down 5 key bullet points in my own words. See the difference? It's specific, it's time-bound, and it tells your brain exactly what to do. There's no room for ambiguity, and therefore, no room for procrastination. Which brings us to the famous Pomodoro Technique. You've probably heard of it, but let's talk about why it works so well. You study in focused sprints of 25 minutes, followed by a strict 5-minute break. After 4 sessions, you take a longer break. This works for 2 scientific reasons. First, it plays into our brain's natural attention span. Knowing the break is coming soon makes the study session feel less daunting. Second, and this is crucial, the breaks are for dopamine management. When you resist a distraction during your 25-minute focus session, your brain builds up a kind of dopamine debt. Dopamine is the chemical of craving and seeking. If you immediately reward that focused work by checking your phone on your break, you're giving your brain a huge, unhealthy dopamine hit for being distracted. You're training it to look forward to being distracted. Instead, on your 5-minute break, do something that doesn't involve a screen. Stretch, look out the window, get a drink of water, walk around your room. This gives your brain a chance to reset without reinforcing the distraction habit. Optimize your method. Your environment is set, your mind is prepared. Now, how do you actually study in a way that sticks? Let's bust a myth. Rereading your notes or a textbook is one of the least effective ways to learn. It creates a feeling of familiarity. Oh yeah, I remember this. But that's not the same as true understanding or recall. It's passive. Your brain learns by actively struggling with information. It's like building a muscle. No pain, no gain. The cognitive pain of trying to retrieve information is what makes the memory strong. So, the single most powerful study technique is active recall. This simply means testing yourself. Instead of reading the material over and over, read it once, then close the book and try to explain it. Write down everything you remember on a blank sheet of paper. Try to solve a problem without looking at the solution. Use flashcards, physical or digital, and force yourself to recall the answer before flipping it over. It's hard, it feels uncomfortable, but that discomfort is the feeling of your brain building strong, lasting neural pathways. And then, pair this with a concept called spaced repetitions. This is based on the Ebbinghaus forgetting curve, which shows we forget information exponentially if we don't review it. Spaced repetition fights this by reviewing information at increasing intervals. So, you review something after 1 day, then 3 days, then a week, then 2 weeks. There are apps that automate this, but you can do it with a simple calendar. This technique tells your brain, hey, this information is important, we're using it frequently, and it moves it from your short-term memory to your long-term memory. So, to bring it all together, let's imagine a student, Sam. The old Sam would sit on his bed with his laptop, his phone next to him, and try to study biology. He'd last about 5 minutes before a notification pulled him away, and an hour later, he'd feel stressed and guilty. The new Sam goes to a clean desk. His phone is in the kitchen on Do Not Disturb. On his laptop, his website blocker is active for the next 2 hours. He looks at his plan, Pomodoro 1, use active recall to write out the process of mitosis from memory. He sets a timer for 25 minutes and begins. It's tough, but he pushes through. When the timer rings, he takes a 5-minute break to stare out the window and stretch. He does 2 more Pomodoros. At the end of his session, he schedules 15 minutes for tomorrow to review his notes using spaced repetition. He didn't use more willpower. He used a better system. He engineered his environment, prepared his mind, and used evidence-based methods. Effective studying isn't about forcing yourself to concentrate. It's about creating the conditions where focus can flourish naturally. It's about being the architect of your attention, not the victim of distraction. You have the power to build that fortress. Start with just 1 layer today. Put your phone in another room for your next study session. You might be amazed at what you can accomplish. Like it, subscribe,